Pleased to be joined by a special guest here. Every time you see those soccer players during the summertime coming to New York City, trying to enjoy a slice of Americana, they had my guy here to my right, New York City soccer nightlife concierge, Troy Gordon, joining us here on From the Desk. Troy, appreciate you so much, man.
Pleasure.
Really enjoy. First time connecting with you, of course, Moussier connected us, and I'm super excited about this conversation because we always talk about it, and we're talking about behind the scenes. How do these guys come here? What do they do? How do they get hooked up? You are the guy for that. How did that happen? Where soccer players, when they come to New York City, hit you up?
I've been in nightlife hospitality for a long time, about 16 years here in New York, and I tend to focus on a lot of athletes as my specialty. So, funny story, I met Joe Hart once in a coffee shop, and, from then on, it kind of just spiraled from just being, decent and taking good care of them.
Okay, so tell me how that happened. Like, you see Joe Hart at a coffee shop, what do you say to him?
He was in a coffee shop, and I walked up to him and said, if you all need anything sorted, arranged while you're here, I'm here to help, Basically, just not treating them like celebrities or one percenters, but just being very transparent to them as though you were their brother, and they appreciate someone that's not out for taking advantage of them.
So you shot your shot with Joe Hart. Sure, you guys connected numbers and exchanged numbers from there. How has that kind of blossomed and transpired to where you pretty much know every soccer player that
it wasn't only him, but it was multiple people who, through being in the nightlife scene, because these guys, when they're in England or Germany or Spain, the weather may not be as nice as America. And then in general, people love coming to America, Miami, New York, LA. So, they all want to switch scenery. They want to reset and go a place where they could just relax. And I think maybe 10, 15 years ago, soccer wasn't as big over here. It definitely still is not as big, but, it's a place where they could walk the streets and not be hounded. So it's a nice getaway for them.
Because I've seen, is that a new thing? Because was it before they would go to Europe and go vacation on different islands and beaches? Because now it feels like literally anytime there's an international break, you're seeing Jack Grealish doing the Home Alone tour with Joe Pizza and going around and reliving the movie himself. Actually, he was just in Vegas recently. You see Vinicius Jr. down in with Neymar in Miami. You see a ton of people in New York City that, of course, come through you. Why do they enjoy America so much compared to other countries that are literally an hour away from them that they could fly at any point they want to?
Touching on they can be themselves and not be a celebrity. They could just have fun and not worry about. Well, they still get stopped and asked for photographs and stuff like that. But it's just a place where it's away from home, and it's like a break, a reset for them, and they don't get much time off. So
I'm sure for you, because there's more and more games being added on for them. So I'm sure that window used to be like a month off in the summertime. Now It's like they get 2 weeks. Like some of them are already reporting back right now to practice. Like how has that been as they've tried to process the fact that they're always playing and it's not too many fun times or it's not too many breaks happening in between those?
Correct. Yeah. Usually, they really live a different life from the standpoint of like literally their entire lives are reporting in post-game, pre-game, and in some leagues like the Premier League, it's way more intense because the fans are very animated and very loyal and passionate for the sport. So there's pros and cons. The good side is that kind of is what makes Premier League an awesome league because the fans are so passionate. Yeah. But the downside is like Marcus Rashford came to New York on his time off when he was injured and he gets destroyed, but he wasn't doing anything, he didn't go out or anything, but I think that's the downside of it, that sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, because, it's a lot harder, easier to navigate here than it is being Marcus Rashford in Manchester.
Oh, yeah.
You can't hide there.
Yeah, you can't hide there.
You can't hide over there in that situation.
Yeah, for
now,
sure.
with all of these experiences that you have, what are some of the favorite moments that you've had hanging out with soccer players?
I think there's no one special moment to name, but it's just every time I get referred by another player to a new one, it's a really special feeling to know that they trust me. They don't like like, for example, there were a few guys that came just recently that I didn't know before, and they were referred to me, and the people said, "Listen, he's a trusted person," and it's. I think to me, there's like, for instance, I took out Neymar once, at a club called One Oak, like maybe 8 years ago or whatever, but through a friend. But there's multiple other guys who I trust and respect and laud as a great person and player. But I think the most awesome thing is just getting a random text at 9 a.m. Hey, I just landed in New York, and XYZ player referred me to you, and that's special to me.
Who's come by this summer? Because I've seen, obviously on your IG account, after you guys hang out, I see the pictures, but I saw St. Maximin swung by from Newcastle, Jorginho, of course, the Arsenal player now, saw him swing by. Who are some other guys that you've had summer that have swung by?
Queeve Kelleher from Liverpool, and there's a few other guys, but they all come on time off, but I think right now because they just had international, they've and sometimes they don't always come to the U.S. Now that I think travel is kind of freed up, maybe people are flying to other places.
Yeah, and I've got to touch on that because during the pandemic, I mean, New York City obviously came at a standstill. I was, of course, living here at the time, and I'm sure you were as well. Mm-hmm. What was that like when all of a sudden, you're out every single night for the nightlife, and then it's quiet? Like, how did you have to pivot from that? And do you feel, in terms of nightlife here, it's appealing enough where people are still coming back now?
Well, for me, I was doing real estate part-time before, and now I've gone into it full-time. So that's my full-time everything now, and I act as a concierge for these guys and other athletes from NBA, NFL, NHL. So that was my life shift. I have a wife and baby, and she didn't want me in that anymore, but I'm still involved from a concierge aspect of just handling things from drivers to dinners and everything from the plane to the hotel. But in terms of nightlife, everyone I know definitely has said there's been a momentous shift because of the social cultural change of people wanting to work remotely. They don't have, me being in real estate, retail is not doing as well. Offices are 50, 60% empty. And I don't even think it's only New York. I have friends who work in nightlife and concierge in other major cities, London, Paris, Milan. They all say the same. It's weird because now people work remotely, and that has affected people being in the cities. So nightlife is not as busy as it was before.
Do you think it'll ever come back?
That's a tough question. We gotta ask. I can't predict the future, but I think people will always want to be in fun major cities. We're humans and we love engaging and interacting with others. So yes, I think after this weird shift of high interest rates and economy crashes and Russia and all these different things, I think when things normalize, people want to come back to major cities.
And I'm sure for you, there's some level of reliability you have. These are obviously the greatest athletes in the world, but I mean, you're an athlete yourself as well. You're from Trinidad, you played water polo. How did you get into that and end up playing water polo in college and professionally?
I went to, we have this swim club called Marlins in Trinidad that I went to with a friend of mine. And one day after the swim class, he was like, you want to stay and play water polo? And I did. And ever since then, we stopped swimming because it was boring. And then I ended up playing water polo full time, for that club and then country as well.
So where'd you end up playing in college?
So I went to LMU my first year and then transferred to Fordham University because I wanted to be in New York around more Caribbean diverse people and culture, and I wanted to work on Wall Street at the time. Didn't end up doing that because I ended up going into the nightlife career full time.
What did you did you enjoy water polo? Did you grow to
yeah.
Because you said at first you didn't find it interesting, but how were you able to grow into it?
I didn't enjoy swimming, and I went into water polo. And did I enjoy it? Yeah, it's like playing rugby, soccer in the water with your hands, So, but it was fun, and teammates, camaraderie, it's a great sport to play, and it's fun, and I love being in the water. I come from the Caribbean.
Troy, it's been a pleasure having you here on From the Desk. Looking forward to seeing who else you're able to bring in and entertain here in the city of New York. And of course, pleasure getting to meet you as well.
You as well.
Always great to meet a friend of Moosey's, a friend of mine as well. So great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
No doubt. That's Troy Gordon. You guys can check him out on Instagram, Troy Gordon NYC as well. Coming up after the break, it is time for Call Me When. And we do have a rebuttal to make about Aaron Rodgers. You do not want to miss this. Coming up after the break.